Right now, I want you to embark on this journey where we search for hope. Search for hope, yeah, pray in life. Black Superman, Black Superman. Please say these young niggas from the stupid plan. Black Superman, Black Superman. Please say these young niggas. You already know Ramsey, these misfit dogs wildin'. You done seen it firsthand, baby, in Coney Island. We script this pain to a T from the boat to the lonely island. We ain't a joke like European voyagers. You know we violate from our genetic code, mixed with those who pillaged our folk. Internally we fight the same rapists who raped our folk. We at war with ourselves, cause we at war with ourselves. See our spirit knows something, but without knowledge of self, we stay blinded, we undermined it and be undermined. Sold by other Africans rocking they blood and custom diamonds. It's kinda big when you think about it, but we don't wanna talk or let alone think about it. We a part of them sick people taking the enemy prescription. We the ones who so spiritual and still trying to know religion. We hold true rich history, but the lies of this broke history got us singing to the sky, wondering why we a mystery.
Black Superman, Black Superman. Please say these young niggas from the Superman. Black Superman, Black Superman. Please say these young niggas from the Superman. Black Superman, Black Superman. Please say these young niggas from the Superman. Black Superman, Black Superman. Please say these young niggas.
You know why we thuggin', cousin, cause we still buggin'. Like when plantation notice made us watch when they was buckin'. Like our ancestors who watch where we at, we feel stuck in. It suck when some is so broken to sick folk, they cuckin'. It's like we fight to keep our masculinity. Why they tuckin'? For the record, this ain't jiving, but they still wanna shuck it. A strong black mantle for the family, they don't want it, they fear it. That's why they always conspiring something. So you Instagram, Snapchat, money by the air niggas with message you that white face can make you hear delivered. Of course, we're lost in the source, it feel good to floss, but how you do it separate you from a worker or a boss. That training video from 1954, how they market it to niggas when they walk into the store was kinda crazy and like breakbeats and throw you in a loop. What's more crazy, how they from us, what we gotta be in a loop.
Black Superman, Black Superman. Please say these young niggas from the Superman. Black Superman, Black Superman. Please say these young niggas from the Superman. Black Superman, Black Superman. Please say these young niggas from the Superman. Black Superman, Black Superman. Please say these young niggas.
The hip-hop writer is a creator, composing understanding words of culture brilliance, powering a rebalance of the elements equally. Pages of rejuvenated reaffirmation, simply the almighty leadership of himself, a craft work that stands to build through any confrontation born to be. Yet his daily duty is as a journalist that questions properly, uses his ears for the good to filter the real. And as the art decays, by dilution, he concentrates the best again and again, exposing it in the print. Today's journalist and tomorrow's historian, he listens to share. Here is that necessary attempt executed again and again and again. This is the Power Right Show on S.STREET Media. This is your brother, the lone low life with the home sewn garment, the Boricua with the build, the true and living God stepping in score, Sunni as Allah, aka Skillustrator Low. And we're on S.STREET Media, the evolution of media. Every intrigue will have its own show. Every incredible thought will have its own episode. And every timeless insight will be archived. And with all those false starts, though, this still is a show about my element of hip-hop, the writer of art on art and science on music. The only show in history on the hip-hop writer element that I, a veteran of over 20 years, helped to pioneer. Yeah, that's right. So I was writing real shit when everybody was writing fake shit. That's what that means. But yo, I got to give a salute to the God. I got to give a salute to God G-Math. I got to give a salute to everyone that has been and continues to be a part of one of the greatest shows in the history of hip-hop history, the Vandal Hour. Well, you know, to say it's the greatest graffiti show is kind of corny. They don't make graffiti shows, so it's like, you know what I mean? But if we talk about the quality of the show, the depth of the show, and I just want to take a little time to talk about the first things I saw that I knew that not only was the Vandal Hour going to be great, though, but I also knew that the people that were making it were incredible, right? I had done real radio. I had worked my way all the way up to BAI, and it was really because of the God producing the Vandal Hour and not only interviewing me, but then realizing off the interview that I ought to have some space to actually conduct my own show. That really got me back into radio, and it led to everything like Classic Storm Radio. It leads all the way to this, obviously, here at S.STREET Media. And I go to the radio show. I go to DTF Radio, where the Vandal Hour is, to get interviewed. I remember that day, it was cold, right? And the God gives me this whole like 5 sheets in a fucking stapled sheet. And I'm like, wow, what is this? And I look through it, and it has the entire show laid out for his host, for his 2 hosts. And as a producer, he's written out every single question that they could ask, every question, and I was reading it, and I was given it so I could see what questions I would have. So I was actually like in a place where I would actually get interview prep. You know what I'm saying? Like real obsessive interview prep. And I was like, wow, I was just coming here and I could build raw. I'm comfortable with whatever questions are thrown at me, right? And when I went in there, I just saw a massive professionalism about something that people think is done unprofessionally. They think kids just look outside and go, hey, that's really dangerous up there. Let's go climb up there and near kill ourselves to put our name somewhere where it doesn't belong, though. You know what I mean? Let's do Ramo again. Because I'm not fucking Ramo. We'll survive, and we'll just go into the tracks and survive. And the depth of graffiti, what it meant as an artist, what it means to the artist as far as like, why do they need this type of form? Why do they need a form that is potentially so dangerous, illegal? Their challenges with combating other artists. Their challenges with being creative over time, though, and extending it and not selling out as they go and bring their art to other forms. All of these things were questions that were being given to brothers and sisters that did graph that never even were ever asked the question. You know what I'm saying? They probably, the only conversation they had with loved ones about it was still, you still doing this shit? You're still doing this shit? It was still wild style. It was still like, you're sitting up here and doing this shit? Like, that was the only conversation that they ever had. And they come to Vandal Hour. Most of them are covering themselves up. They're wearing bandanas, though. I'm not, though. I've been teaching at law school in Mecca for years, though. I ain't hiding from nobody. I can't, you know what I mean? Even if I'm like, yo, my degrees is not tight today. I don't remember a degree today. I still got to put on the flag because I'm getting noticed anyway. I'm the teacher there. So I was like, shit. And everybody's got like masks on. They got all this. So like they're still willing to take the chance to put art that says something that other people don't want to see on a regular basis, though. And whatever I think is countercultural, whatever I think hip-hop should be countercultural as, and it usually hasn't been the peak of it, graffiti still is like that. You know what I mean? And to see the complexities as someone who doesn't know graffiti, doesn't know art, I don't know shit about art. You know what I mean? I suck at it, though. Stick figures about the creator inside his own creation are the best drawings I do in my classroom. You know what I'm saying? That's I draw the original man, circle, stick figure, and inside a circle, which is the universe, and that's us. That's my def drawing, all time. You know what I mean? And I need a quality marker to do that with. You know what I mean? So the thing is that like to have me counter it and bring my segment of what I was bringing, the premierhiphop.com show, and try to juxtapose that and say like, yo, soon he knew that I was gonna bring artists that were actually countercultural, people that challenged the mold, so it would actually show how this all fits in still with the music. You know what I mean? And not just me, not just the guys I brought, but they brought guys that did music and did do graph, like the Spit Gemses and the Shazil Yorks, and the guys that you actually see where like their social media and their clips have just as much music as it does art pieces, and it's just amazing to be part of something I find to be historical, because when we go back and we say everything is archived and we say like, yo, where could you go? Let's just say somebody was writing a book and said, yo, I'm doing a scholarly work on graffiti as a graffiti artist and I want to write about graffiti. Shit, all of those shows over the years, That's their palette. That's their research material. Like, this is how important it is. So, you know, I'm forever grateful that after not doing radio through the whole dark ages, that's the 2000s if you're not listening all the time, right? The piece of shit era where all the whack MCs got GOAT titles, you know what I mean? And, you know, fucking Missy Elliott was a legend in the 2000s. That tells you enough about MCing, you know what I'm saying? She was a master lyricist, though. You know, it's regular shit, right? And Timberland was Quincy Jones all of a sudden. You know what I'm saying? Because he popped out something. But I'm being vicious here. I don't want to associate this with my guest as he gets on. But but because he might get a Timberland beat, then they're like, oh, you did that shit with Sunians. Fuck him and whoever the fuck he is.
I ain't say nothing.
Yeah. But the thing is that, like, it's a seminal show in hip hop. I'm forever grateful that, like, all that love that I had, like, yo, when you're a Boricua writer in hip hop, you just did radio because Babito did it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you do whatever Babito did. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I could do that. And you do college radio, and I got myself up to news at WBAI. And I just didn't do it in the 2000s because everything I was saying was still a bit too extreme. Of course, the God lets me say extreme things, though. You know, it doesn't censor it. In fact, you know, based on the pre-show hijinks, I'm the one that censors myself the most. You know what I'm saying? With my inabilities with the mic here. But after 4 years, though, a real salute. Now we're going on to even greater forms for the Vandal Hour. All of this stuff here, the reason these sets look so beautiful is because of the Vandal Hour. You know what I mean? And the connections that legendary producer who is now the core of S.STREET Media is doing now. So, you know, he's like a Quincy Jones of producing real-time shows, you know? And that hashtag of Black Viceland is not out of sight right there. You know what I mean? But from that high peak, I have to go back to a low peak, though, so that way we keep things balanced, though. You know what I'm saying? And what's up with all the salutes, though? Just so we stop, though. Hopefully by the time this comes out next week, people have stopped saluting and given proper ruined in pieces RIPs to George Bush Sr. You know what I mean? If we're any kind of historian, though, it's one of the legendary devils, though. Like, he's all-star devils, though. Like, if you collect tops, you know, if you collect tops devils cards, Trump is just the rookie card of presidents. He's rookie. You know what I mean? Like, he's a shooter. His field goal percentage is like 30% and shit. George Bush Sr.'s percentage is like 80%. Like, he shoots like no one has ever from the field. He's the fucking Wilt Chamberlain of presidents that were alive in the 20th century. You know what I mean? And he was doing devilish way before he became a president. So if you do your research with the CIA and all that kind of stuff, and I'm not even going to go into depth because it's like, yo, do your fucking Googles and shit, you know? Don't just see, you know, I told someone, I'm not even going to put her name out there because it's too funny and I don't want to ruin her maneuverability. You know what I'm saying? But I was like, people are falling for, like, they put a video of his love for Barbara Bush and all that, and that's beautiful. It's beautiful. They love each other, right? And she was just like, yo, devils love each other too. You know what I'm saying? Right? You know, animals love each other too. There's love among all the species. You know what I'm saying? But because he's American, I consider him close to an American Hitler. You know what I mean? And because I'm low life, I give him a salute. It'd be Polo Hitler. You know what I mean? But just mind-boggling the way that today's media has the ability to humanize people after they return, you know. And if we're going to take a fair assessment of people that die, we need to take it. I mean, it's going to be, if that was what they did for George Bush Sr., my black, brown people, I don't even want to know what's going to happen when Bill Clinton returns. Forget it. You know what I mean? They're gonna knock down, like, you know, statues of black folk and put him there and shit. You know what I mean? Like, you know, Adam Clayton Powell, though, they're going to move him over. On 125th, they're going to move him over and put him right next to it. You know, the way they're deifying the thing here. And it shows you, like, the propaganda is very real, very potent, though. You know what I mean? But listen, and I'm just throwing this out there because I know that and onto another idea. I know that there's going to be a lot of great albums that come out in these last weeks of December, but because my brother at One World Magazine, Caesar, who runs it, he had me write like a best of, so I only could put the top 20 and shit like that. And some stuff I didn't really get to listen to, but you know, I knew it wouldn't be because they're weak anyway. They're weak MCs, so I knew they wasn't going to make the cut anyway. But it's a weird year to pick out the best albums because, as a side note, it's hard to pick out the best albums because so many of the best MCs this year have basically, I'm not going to say dilute, I'm going to say spread out their skill sets through like 1,000 projects. It doesn't matter who you are. If you make 20 projects for 1 year, you're going to spread out what you could have done concentrated in anything. It doesn't matter. You know, it's the old Jizza rule. You know, half short, twice strong. You know, however you do it like that. So it was easier for the guys that made like one album or something to gauge them. If you had like S.STREET, right, from up in Massachusetts, the God had like 8 albums and shit. 3 of them with like Al Divino and shit. Like, how do you judge those? You could pick the best one, but that his own impact isn't that one album, so it doesn't really gauge you what he did for that year. So it's unfair. So I'll have to do something else to really show what people did throughout the year besides a list of albums and shit. But I gave a top 20 that I thought really hit the mark and shit like that. You know what I mean? And you'll see it soon on One World and my longer version on PremierHipHop.com. But yo, I haven't looked for guests in a long time and shit because I have too much shit that I'm talking, too much controversial shit. My guest doesn't give a fuck. He's going to say what he wants, though. And on this record here, he says whatever he wants, though. He says it dynamically. In fact, I think, I'm going to put it out there, I think he actually showed some new techniques I didn't hear before on it. You know, I was like, wait, he didn't do that before. You know what I mean? And then he has like certain stylistic inflections and stuff that I've been repeating like an idiot to everybody that doesn't understand. You know, like I've been saying pussy all the time. Like, we guys, yeah, that's the pussy. Like if I watch TV, it's something hot. Like I just go, oh, look at the pussy. You know what I mean? So it's just been a lot of fun aside from the lyricism that he's been hitting off with, though. It's a lot of fun. You should do that when you watch television too. You made it up, right? But I come from the part of Brooklyn though where we had no hype though. None of the great MCs that we know about today come from there. I had to make my own element and represent a whole neighborhood. I think until the other MCs caught up, the Sun Blazes, the RYs, everybody that caught up to it. You know what I mean? But I still claim and I still feel an affinity whenever I hear somebody else from Brooklyn, and it's all like there's a different way that it's done from Brooklyn. And the best way I could introduce this MC and to keep in your head is the way that I first really started to listen to him, because I heard songs, but I saw him live at a Low Life show, one of the Low and Lyrics show that was put together. And I was in the front and everything like that, and I was already a little hot and shit. I was wearing too much low. I was wearing too much undergarment.
Low sweater.
Yeah, because I'm trying to layer everything, so I'm like, I got one too many fucking T-shirts on this fucking thing in here and shit, right? And I'm already sweating. And then this brother comes on, and he's rapping, and he's all over the place, though. You know what I'm saying? I already said last episode that after a certain hour, though, I need to go home. I've lost all threshold for staying up. You know what I'm saying? It's like past my bedtime at certain things. And I'm like, yo, he's mad dynamic. Like, he's going everywhere. Because I think Shabam Sadiq was on there, and he's an old pro. It doesn't matter what he does. You hear everything clear. He's not jumping up and down and moving and shit. Like, he's just, like, right there. And I'm like, yeah, thank you. He's, it's more like to my liking and shit, right? So here this brother comes, and he's doing his dynamic. I'm hearing everything. But it's like, wait a minute. He's not rapping the songs. He's, like, talking to me or some shit. Like, am I supposed to do something? Am I supposed to do something like answer? Like he had like a lyrics where he was asking questions and shit, and I was like, yo, am I supposed to answer? Is he gonna do like the mic thing? He's gonna pass. Is he gonna pass it to me? I was like, yo, because this guy is all up in the audience. It's like the way white people when they watch Cats and shit on Broadway, like, yo, the cats went into the fucking audience. Like, what do we do with the cats and shit? And it was dynamic, and I found out that this brother's name is Frank Knight. I had heard songs on the internet. I have seen videos, and I was like, yo, this brother is dynamic, though. Like, it's next level though. Like he did 3 songs, and he's sweating like the end of a KRS-One show. You know what I mean? Sweating like Planet Asia. Yo, Planet Asia still is the #1 sweater. Like when Planet Asia is like Ewing. Like he should have like the wristbands and shit. when I saw, yo, Planet Asia gives you a show, but he sweats like Patrick Ewing. I was like, yo, he should have the wristbands and shit like Patrick Ewing. But yo, Frank Knight, he was sweating his ass off. And I was like, yo, what a fucking show, you know what I mean? And I thought for a minute there, I was like, yo, I hope I didn't fuck up the show. I didn't interact very well, you know? Because I'm still number 4 the lizard, you know what I'm saying? I stand close to walls, you know what I mean? I just like to watch. I get mesmerized. You know, like when I go to salsa shows, I don't dance. I want to see the musicians. I'm never going to see. I was one time with a girl at Eddie Palmieri's show, and they had Eddie P was playing piano. I said, yo, this is a legend here. I'm not going to fucking dance with you. I want to watch him play the piano. I feel that. And, but yeah, my guest is, as you already know, Frank Knight. Brother, how are you doing?
I'm blessed right now. First off, I appreciate you so much. Thank you. And it's okay. Like I don't expect people to always like just to interact because I'm the same way. Especially, I don't know, I just guess growing up like seeing so many fights at parties. When I go to places, I look for that one wall where I could look at the whole room. it's all good, bro.
Yeah. Like, focus your speech on the wall or one friendly person. Yeah.
So, but nah, thank you so much. And I definitely, no matter how long my set is, I just try to give like the best of my ability.
Absolutely, yeah. And I was really tight that I missed a piano show out in piano because I knew that was going to be a real intimate show. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And you know, there's a lot of glitz, there's a lot of glamour about like bigger shows and the pyrotechnics and stuff, but nothing beats a hip hop show with a guy that really wants to be there. And again, you have this way, even on wax, when you're hearing it, you're talking to us. It's never demeaning and stuff. And some rappers are dope that way. Like, we don't want them to change that condescending fashion. Like, Rock Marcy, everything is, it has to be condescending. Like he's looking at bitches going, yeah, this is my gorgeous dick. And then just like, fuck you, you know? And then,
like,
yeah.
Call me a roach, goddamn.
Yeah, you can't even fuck with this, though. Like, and the kid that's looking is like, I can't fuck with him. I can't. I just can't. But that's the way we want him to be. But, like, when you rhyme, there's a way, like, you just really just naturally interact with people, and you're really dynamic, though. Like, you're all over the place. It's like almost like you need a guitar and shit. Like, it's all some heavy metal shit. You know what I mean? It's fun to watch. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's worth the money to see Frank Knight live. You know what I'm saying? And I would have loved to see, you know, songs from this album. You know what I'm saying? Because the album is called Ghetto Psalms of the Night. And spelled Knight, K-N-I-G-H-T is his name, Frank Knight. And to see you interact about so many issues, and so many issues that are told directly, so many issues that are told like in just daily occurrence, like New York summer. Yeah. There's a lot of issues in there, but it's told like a brother that just walking through the day and the pictorial that you give. You know what I'm saying? Yes. Going through the train and shit like that. And I was like, yo, that's a summer right there. Like when you just hop because, you know, you're trying to save as much money, see what you can do with it. You know what I mean? Like all that kind of shit. Like it just was really good. And like when you talked about sitting down and you try to act like you're sleeping, but then you really do fall asleep. I was like, that's dope. Like, cause yo, when the train goes from Columbus Circle to 125th, though, if you can stay awake though, you tight about something because that shit will lullaby you to sleep and shit. You know what I mean? But like it's a real. This album is one of the few because I told you a lot of guys spread out their illness. Mm-hmm. I wasn't mad about the records this year. But there weren't a lot of like, yo, I put everything into this project. Like there's a couple like yours, Sky Zoo always does it, Rome Streets did it, you know what I'm saying? There's not that many though that I can think off the head that really like formatted like a storytelling ideas and put it around a theme. And the first question I have for you, since we're talking about it like immediately, I couldn't even wait. I feel like this album kind of puts together like really solidifies for the future as well, like the theme of what Frank Knight is about. Like if I was to say like, yo, as far as what he is about lyrically, this whole album, I could pick that. Like, yo, just listen to Ghetto Psalms. You know what I'm saying?
I think you definitely hit it on the nail on that. And that's something that I always wanted people to understand about me. Because it's funny, earlier before the show, we were talking about those how people mistake lyricists and wordplay bar rappers. I was actually one of those people that was caught up into thinking a lyricist was only someone who could just play with words. I do still have that affinity to see how I can bend, play with words, and create entendres and stuff with that. But learning how to come with a subject matter that really is near and dear to my heart and my people, like especially my people, is something that I always wanted to convey. Because people see my joking personality, and especially on stage, like even a lot of the songs, like they'll just be like, "Oh, this nigga's hilarious!" Like it's just, but there's really a message that I really want to give to you, and this is why this year I tried to refrain from doing that many shows, just so people can take the time to actually listen to this content and then get it. Even the show at Pianos, it was even a very different style of performing for me, because it's not too many room to like do a lot of jumping around and like those, but which was cool, because then I got to finesse a new style of performing energetically but smoothly. But there was still, at the end, I hit them with the classics, so I was able to do my somersaults and flips.
Yeah. Run through the crowd and
Yeah,
like, oh,
but I definitely want people to understand that this is what my core is. This is what I represent, and I'm not just someone that's here to just talk about like, oh, this is the black plight. Like, I'm actually working with like other organizations and stuff to try to figure out ways to help the youth and come up with things to just better our community. You know, I want to be able to provide opportunities. So for my people and myself, but I want
That's
to
real
translate
peace.
that within the music.
Absolutely. And you know, going back to this idea of like that barrier of like, you know, just the stylistics of it, obsessive technicality and stuff. You're writing these songs and you know, how do you not veer off into that? Are you actually checking it like, yo, I went off topic here in the song? Like, did that happen? Like where you were like, oh, this is off topic. I went too fancy with it. Let me cut this piece out. You know what I mean? Did that happen?
The funny thing is, there's a point, and I think for a lot of creatives, this happens, like whatever field you, like whenever you're just creating, where you get zoned out, and it finishes itself. It just feels like just supernatural in that moment. So there's times where I have to check, like I would catch myself real quick and just be like, yo, does that relate? And then I go back and I was like, yeah, that shit hard. So it's like, right. But I didn't really come up with any issues in regards to like straying off subject matter, because I feel there's always a way for me to string it back and showcase how everything connects.
Right. The I want to go back to go forward though and talk a little bit about, because you know, when we go online, there are builds with you, and there might be an interview or two, but it's not with me. You know what I mean? So it doesn't count.
I feel you.
I want to put into context the origins of Frank Knight.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, tell them exactly where you're from in Brooklyn. You know, what got you into MC, though? What was the reason that you chose that form of expression?
Okay. All right. So I'm originally from Coney Island in Brooklyn, New York. I lived there from infancy till probably about 12 years old. Then from like 12 to 14, I was back and forth between like Coney Island and Canarsie, and the Canarsie like Flatbush area. So so Graveson and Coney Island. Those are the P's I'm originally from. My grandmother lived in Cary Garden, so I would spend a lot of time over there. And then Glenwood Projects is where I moved to in those late junior high school into high school years. So Glenwood is like right on the cusp of like Canarsie and Flatbush. Right. It's really Canarsie, but the white people try to make it call it Flatbush because, you know, they but it's all good.
Let's put them all in there.
Exactly. So they could section things up and be like, but I'm cool with it because I love the Bush anyway. I went to high school with Erasmus. So those but the MCing aspect came from, I would say, in 6th grade. It was you know, that's like when the puberty and stuff started hitting everybody, and you know, you start getting into girls, clothes, and then music and stuff like that. So like, I'm trash in sports, so that, like, yeah, I just put that right out there on the front, and like, I just started to notice like all my homies was getting into like all these other things. So like, and I seen rap was something that they was also into heavy. So like, I used to just like it. Like, I never really paid too much attention towards it. Like back then, like, yo, I was watching like wrestling and just playing video games and just and just chilling and like and then just talk to like my older cousins on and just mac on a block with them and stuff like that. Just being a kid. Then as this transition started to our eyes started to open and see more things. I was always good at creative writing in class. So when I started seeing them like have ciphers and rapping in the lunchroom, I was like, I think I could probably do that. And I was so corny, but like, I think like every kid is just whack. Like, but like your boys just hype you and be like, yo, it's like, yo, you rhyme gum with cum, nigga, you the best. Like, it's like, so that was just like a way for me to just stay in tune and contact with my friends. Like I didn't.
And it's, you know, it's interesting because it's the environment, the actual culture of the people.
Yeah.
That, you know, your peers. But were there any, like, the music was it music that was inspiring you that you were listening to at the time, or did you listen to music? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So that time I was in junior high school in the early 2000s, right? So that's when like 50 Cent and them came out in G Unit. So when you was talking about your era,
oh my goodness, the Dark Ages,
Dark Ages, right? So
got inspired by the Dark Ages.
I definitely did. From darkness comes light.
Right? Yeah. Way to flip it. So boy, that's Frank Knight for you. Eh?
Hence the name.
Yeah. Well, now we're in the double entendre.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. Go get that ghetto sums of the night. But anywho, so. Like that's what my homies was into, like Dipset, G Unit, Rockefeller. Like that was just the thing.
Okay, yeah.
Everybody's radar. So, me and like my closest friend, like I had two best friends like during that time. So my boy Jay Rich and my boy God's Plan. So God's Plan, me and him, like we just loved G Unit. My boy Jay Rich, he was a big Dipset fan. So we used to always have the G Unit Dipset like beefs and whatnot. So. I started my style started mirroring more after 50 Cent, and then I started because in God's Plan that's when like Get Rich or Die Trying was out and all those mixtapes. But God's Plan was like, oh shit, you should hear the shit that he had before he got shot. So then that's when we started getting to the Power of the Dollar and like, all of those stuff. Right. And then I was like, this nigga was actually more lyrical back then. Like it was like he actually was he had different rhyme cadences, and then I started listening to the mixtapes. And then I remember hearing Too Hot with Nas. So then I was like, I actually like this style. And I remember like One Mic was out and I was like, all right, that's a cool song. So then I listened to Stillmatic and I was like, oh, this album is fucking dope. Like I was like, yo, this album is amazing. And then I remember it was a documentary like the next day I seen on VH1 and they was talking about Illmatic and like it was just some hip hop like documentary they was doing. I remember Nas was talking about like how he thought agents was gonna come out the sky after Biggie and Pac died. It was some wild shit this nigga said. and I just remember my sister was like, yo, that nigga.
And then you quit hip hop.
Exactly. I was like, agents, nigga. Like, sign me up now. Let me stop. But and then somebody mentioned how Illmatic was just this big altering moment in hip hop, and I was like, all right, well, I gotta listen to that. And to this day, Illmatic is my favorite album, still to this day. And then it was just like, then I was listening to Jay-Z because, like, especially being a Nas fan, and hearing the Ether, and like I did a lot of backtracking.
Of course, yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So as you said, we go back to go forward.
Yeah.
So then, pardon me if this is taking mad long.
No, like you have all the time going. Yeah.
Thank you, brother. So when it comes to that, then start and actually paying attention to the lyrics. So I'm like, yo, who inspires Nas? So then you start hearing like Rakim, then Karis, because I remember he had the unauthorized biography of Rakim.
Yeah,
I think that was it was on S.TREET. Site, but that album was so trash. Yeah. So,
it had good songs. If it was cut down,
if it was cut down, with better production, and that's the funny thing, because you can listen to Streets Disciple now versus like the era now, and she
Oh, yeah, yeah.
sounds
No, yeah.
immaculate. And it just shows you the standard of music how it's just changed.
It's true, yeah.
So, and then that's just how I started going back and learning more, and then and then in the midst of this, like, you know, just hanging with your friends and you just doing like stupid shit.
You know, as an MC, since you're talking about it,
yeah.
You said you were starting to, you know, you emulate, you know, the rappers that you like, that you listen to, like 50 Cent and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When is that moment that you say, listen, I'm really good at this? And does it collide with the moment where you're like, yeah, I can't sound like that guy. I got to sound like the way I sound. You know what I mean? Are those similar moments?
I guess it is, because when you, especially during those times, because it was still a big thing to having your own style and being different.
It's so messed up. You talk about it like it's not really the case.
It's
anymore.
not.
I can't even. Yeah.
Like it's, bro. You got pop acts doing Migos flows. Like it's
yeah, they do each other. Yeah,
exactly. It's amazing. Like I was just like a genre that was just built on originality and individuality. Like it's just like has just been like. That's like somebody just like copying someone's tag and graffiti. It's just so like it's just so disrespectful. But yeah, I think the moment came for me is when I realized that the subject matters and the things that I wanted to talk about was different. Because like back then, like we were just getting into dumb shit, like just like playing around in the streets, just like just because that's what we thought we like. We're supposed to do, like to emulate this image of like, yo, this is what a rapper is supposed to be. And then I learned what an MC was. So like, and I got that difference because like it's a song I got, I Know, and there's a lyric where I was talking about where me and my boys, we started like selling crack, bro. Just and and this is just and I think it's just like the corniest shit when I look back at it. It was just because it was like I really had no reason to do it. Like we struggled, my mom, but like I didn't struggle as much as a lot of my other friends did.
Right.
So like mom, like I always tell, like I came from a single parent household, not a broken household, because moms held it down at the end of the day, and like I'm really thankful for that. But like even in her struggles, like yo, there was times like where I didn't even know we was gonna get evicted, but she made miracles happen, and like and just through her sheer fortitude, you know. So like I learned this as I got older, like a lot of these things.
You learned about that backstory.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, niggas was about to be homeless. Like I was like, and
your parents blurted out like when they're just talking shit. Yeah, it was back when we were gonna be homeless. Like, wait, what?
Exactly. I was like, I don't remember that, nigga. I was playing with Batman and Robin, so it's like, but I remember we was just so we was just getting into a lot of these things. Now I won't say this like same for my boy. He was struggling a little bit more. So especially like my heart, and I was like, yo, I'm in this with you, bro. If you need to, then I remember like the lyric in I Know is where it was like, my man came to me like, no, like where he was just talking, like he came to me crying and was like, yo, I seen people that I looked up to when I was a kid just strung out and fiend out, and just he said like the shit just shook him. He was like, yo, I don't want to do this no more. I was like, all right, nigga, we off it. Like, that was pretty much it. And we just stopped there. And starting to see the effects on the community, that's what, like, really made me change, like, my content and wanting to and be different. So, like, as much as I could appreciate, like, those the 50 Cent G-Unit type of records where it seems like it may have, like, that heartless theme content, I get where the aggression comes from the environment, but I just knew who I was and who I am to the core.
Right, you're going to give a more balanced approach.
Exactly.
To what you see.
Yeah, very therapeutic in that sense, you know?
Well, that's peace, though. We're going to take a music break now. Yeah. I think we're going to play Frank Knight music, though. Right. That's all we got. That's all we got here. We deleted everything.
Damn, I was really hoping for that new Migos. Offset dropped out.
Yeah. So we'll take a music break, and we'll get back. We'll build more on this Ghetto Psalms, right, album.
I'll be your host, Frank Knight, that's right.
Test my tear, the tears be loud and screams from a mother's heart that's ripped and heat out. Knowing at the very
crime spazzing out. They chew, they consume, claimed by the dragon mouth. Sumerian punishment, this what I and they know. Revenge circles my mind, it's always been my halo. Feel the burning of a halo, burning while the flame hold. A life like a wife, it rain pain like a payroll. Dealing with the omen, need atonement in this moment of the overdose. Informant falling victims of the pope. Making dome shifts, this is how they demonstrate fear. The brain hemisphere switches, sit in different chairs. The left, and the right, right, and the left. They stomping up your lungs, it's no fighting for breath. When you fly step to F, you ain't getting fresh to death. Do the math properly, you only getting fresh for death. You wanna ride on the dark side, walk over here and ride on the dark side. Yeah, with the hardest of the hard lives, they smell being so blown to the hard lives. But you wanna die like the realest, duck down, pull out here live with the realest. Beating on your chest like you a gorilla, beating on your chest, asking a gorilla. This for the hardcore young goons, the ghetto sun Jews, who call gun schools, who come from bum schools, with hard gun rules, the kind that don't stick. Like bad relationships where only relationships make, but they stuck in a cancerous situation looking sick. Steady in the mix with substances getting bit, like a bloody link connected to the missile crisis. You know the life sacrifices in a life crisis. It's a sad chain of events that always happen, making young lives dense and always built for scrapping. Before they came at the red man, it was time for some action. Caucus poisonous ways is why we bug trapping. We grow up hyped as a designer, knowing that we might fall. We never giving up in life, we trying to make a right wrong. Hustlers to the goal, we never take a night off. We burning angels while your core cinemats pour. Soft, you wanna ride on the dark side, walk up on here and ride on the dark side. Yeah, we're the hardest of the hard lives, and they smell being so blown to the hard lives. Don't you wanna die like the realest, duck down, pull out here live with the realest. Beating on your chest like you a gorilla, beating on your chest, asking a gorilla. It's a New York summer, heat waves at an all-time high. Trying to look fly for every single damn dime I. Sweating with no hot ride, trains on ride 4 or 5. I got 265, 10 short of 75. And I'm trying to get a butter roll with juice on the side. So I'm waiting by the turnstile to do the hop slide. Switching cart to cart in case cops trying to stop. Moving through the train till I find a nice spot. Turn my hat to the front as I squeeze in the seat. Then put my head down and pretend that I'm asleep. Till I accidentally knock from that AC breeze. Got the boot and no check like fake ACGs. So it's B6 Flatbush sliding through the rear. I'm talking about the junction, couple blocks from the Veer. My summer might suck, rocking last year's gear. And my mama gon' smash, just barking in my ear. Requoting every Bible quote she ever spoke to me. Like if a man don't work, then a man don't eat. I'm like, I know, mom, sorry, I get it, I get it. She like, F sorry, show me you get it, and get it. Doing online resumes and my side hustle. Sweating through escapades to survive my struggle. The project's hot with that conviction and convection. So while it's heat raising heat raise, I search cool direction. This my New York summer, it be hot as hell, huh? It be hot as hell. This my New York summer, it be hot as hell, huh? It be hot as hell. This my New York summer, it be hot as hell, huh? It be hot as hell. This my New York summer, it be hot as hell, huh? It be hot as hell. While the streets leveled up and went and they bagged the summer, I tried to be level-headed and not get bagged this summer. Lord knows my emotions kept me going through the motions, searching for potent potions to calm my soul's oceans. It make my summer hotter than Ghost Rider in a Mazda. Dipped in molten lava with the drip of dragon saliva. I know y'all listen while I'm on a job mission, trying to find love inside these broken down women. Rose said she couldn't never fully love me, cause she was trying to do right by her best friend who a hubby. So we sexed only once when I got off tour. Threw the Magnum in the trash and I left through the door. Couple days later got a text that dropped my jaw. She said she feel hurt cause he don't deserve this at all. I doubt she told him it all cause it would hurt to leave him all, knowing it was me and that he hate me to the call. Like how could you do this to me knowing he the enemy? Cause he ain't know you when you was hurting, needed my energy. So I don't even blame you if you keep it a secret. Drama over pussy that ain't mine, I don't even need it. And we both know your heart wasn't wicked when we did it. Probably could have been more if life was a little different. My great summer love, but now our summer is in it. We now fell into the fall, time for new beginnings. This my New York summer. Kinda short with no shorts. New York humidity got me regretting not wearing shorts. While the cold subway carts make me feel I need a jacket on. But the hottest station make me feel I got a jacket on. With an extra jacket on with a North Face coat. Just to move through field hustlers who snort they coke. In the Bronx, LES and Bushwick was usually the rest haven of my Spanish chicks. Everywhere else in the borough was black chicks. But had a white model and an ex I used to ravish. Nowadays I'm trying to chill from being such a savage. So if it ain't Snapchat, won't see me like a catfish. This the time of year where it's dope to be in Staten. So ride the ferry at night, catch the breeze out Manhattan. While I sit back watching crossovers on the court, embracing the fall and everything the summer is towards. It's my New York summer, it be hot as hell. It is so hot. It be hot as hell. It's my New York summer. Yo, we got AC, man. It be hot as hell. It's my New York summer. It be hot as hell. Gorgeous. It be hot as hell. It's my New York summer. It be hot as hell. But I love it. It be hot as hell.
New York, big city of dreams. New York, big city of dreams. New York.
Yeah, baby.
New York.
Yeah, baby.
New York, big city of dreams. New York, big city of dreams. New York.
Oh, yeah.
New York.
Oh, yeah.
Brooklyn.
You know it.
New York summers smell like, sound like swishes from sundress switches, hormones rising higher than the temperature, cat calls escaping dog lips, ices and quarter waters, juicing, too many people on the block with no one moving, city pool dips with morning and afternoon sessions, music blasting out of car windows, bass thumping. New York summers be like, I just met this cute guy. Or like, I just met this dope shorty. Scamming at family cookouts, some of our drunkest nights, turning the city lights into a Jackson Pollock original.
Yeah, that's lit.
New York summers make me feel like I could be your Tina. You be my Mookie, dedicating songs on the radio to you. Cooling off with my head in the freezer, ice cubes pressed upon skin. Trying to find a balance between not getting into trouble and just getting into enough.
That's right.
All right, we are back, all right, on the Power Right Show. We got Frank Knight in the building. We just heard some tracks from his album, right? Ghetto Psalms of the Night. To me, it's one of in my reel of 2018. It's definitely on it, though. It's a great album. You know what I mean? It has a whole story. It's not an album you listen to one song at a time. You could sit down and listen to the whole thing. It's a listener's album, you know what I mean? But it's also a travel album, though. You know, I enjoyed walking the streets with this one. You know what I mean? Listening to it and shit like that, right? And so you pair up with Ridiculous on this. How did you go about choosing the beats, though? Like, what were you looking for? And then it's such a thematically focused album. Like, was that by design? Like, yo, I'm going to take these tracks or I'm just going by the cuff? Because, you know, I don't know how you wrote to them. Did you write the songs when you heard the beats after you selected a bunch of them, or just one at a time? Were you writing these?
So this project started in 2016 when I was doing my Primavera Nights Midwest tour. So Ridiculous's house in Chicago was a home base for a lot of our travels. So being there, he would just play a lot of beats for me. And I was like, all right, cool. So like, and he was like, I'll just email you some of these too. You could take them back to New York. So some songs I wrote in Chicago. I just picked whatever like just spoke to me the most. So I do have that affinity to soul samples and just soulful vibes. Right. So yeah, so just out of all of the beats that he was playing, these are the ones that just really just stuck out strongly to me. So in the midst of that, when I was back in New York, he was sending a lot of beats. So we probably recorded about like 20, 30 songs, you know, and it was really just a test of like cutting down which really made sense for the project, because they all had the theme, I feel, but these made the most sense
Okay.
to just
Well,
to keep.
for the listener, in the Bandcamp, right? It says here, Frank Knight and producer Ridiculous teamed to create an album that was dedicated to showcasing a reflection of the times of the world we live in through the experience of themselves and their peers. It's mostly a project depicting the memoirs of Frank Knight and his journey through life up until now. This is all done over the experimental sounds of traditional boom bap and a little extra flair by the production hands of producer extraordinaire Ridiculous. That's a heavy fucking theme right there.
Yeah.
So when you're making it, you're like, yo, this is the theme, or is that like, as you hear the whole bunch, you're like, yo, this is what it kind of shaped up to be.
So that's exactly what it was. I wish I could have just said, yo, I had the grand scheme, son, and it was just like boom, bow, boom. But nah, so like it just simply like it came out like that, and like it was I guess it was ordained to be that way, because we sat back, listened to the records, and I didn't realize at the time, like I knew what each song meant individually, but as a whole, I didn't know they were painting this masterpiece.
Right.
So, and then when I looked, I got to look back at the canvas and see this is
When you were doing each track, right? Just the thing, because I love the names of the songs in the album and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So when I go through part of the song questions are about why did you name it that?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I get a feeling.
But if you look through, even before you listen to the album, though, look at the names of these songs. They you know, even the ones that you know what they're about by reading them, like Dope Dime Shorty, they just have dope names. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, Flying Trapeze Ninja Monkeys is the one that is my favorite title. I was like, what the fuck did he just do here with that shit? You know what I mean? Smooth Billy D, Cult 45. Like, you got to hit Novels in Purgatory. These are dope titles. You know what I'm saying? But, for the listener, I do this a lot when I interview MCs, because I feel like sometimes we don't always know what we listen to. And, like, the point of a hip-hop journalist is really to appreciate certain artists a little bit more with a highlight. So they say, oh, wow, that's what he was doing. I'm going to listen for that. And, you know, because we always know about how we depreciate shit. Like, yo, that shit is trash. And let me tell you why it's trash. But why it's dope. And I thought in this album, though, there was such a heavy focus on content. But there's a lot of styles, you know, and I don't want people to think like, yo, it's just a heavy record. Yeah. You're going to be on some edutainment shit through the whole thing. You know what I mean?
Gonna get you.
Yeah. And that's why. And your cadence all of a sudden is slow. And that's why. You know, and you're talking like Karis went through the whole thing.
Uzi and my brother.
Yeah.
I go, that's my shit.
Yeah, I love that song. Yeah. That whole album is incredible.
Yeah.
But like, look, were you noticing that you were doing a lot of styles that I didn't see you explore so much before? Like, so, like, on Smooth Billy D, there's a whole bunch of inflections and stuff, you know, like peaks. I'm not sure if that's a song where the pussy is from. I don't know which song has that.
I think it's probably New York Summer, because I know that's the only time I really said pussy.
Yeah. So it's got to be from one of the girls' songs. Yeah.
It had to be New York Summer.
Yeah.
The second verse, because I was talking about this chick I was smashing, and then like
right. Yeah. It's the second. I remember it was the second verse though. Yeah. I was looking in the wrong song. But I was going back and saying, which song you said the pussy thing? Because I keep saying it, and then people ask me, why am I saying it like that all the time and shit? But I just immediately thought Billy D. Because Billy D, you know, when you say it, you mean?
You think of pussy. Because
because that's what that's what Billy D was about, right? But there's a lot of inflections on the Billy D song, you know what I mean? Then there's like, what I thought was really a great example was the Bamboozle track.
Yeah.
There was like a studded flow in the beginning.
Yeah.
But the track doesn't necessarily race forward so much, but you race forward.
Yes.
And I thought that was really dope, and it kind of caught the vibe of the intensity that you were trying to build up. And a lot of people, they're not making songs where the verses are giving a dramatic effect. Like a lot of this turned out to be like one of those, you know, albums where it's like a whole story play. Like it could have been a story. Like I could see this album having like videos for every song, you know, and telling like a Frank Knight story. So I could see where that memoir thing came up. So when you tell it though, I don't know if it's as linear as you would hope, but when you put these songs in their chronology, you know, and you put them up, you know, this is 1, this is 2, what were you thinking here? Like, how are you going to space them like that, you know?
All right, so me and Ridiculous actually, we sat down and his crib in Boston, and we were just really trying to make sure that the message, now that we came up with like, yo, this is what it really means, and this is what this project entails and delivers. We wanted it to be like a movie. Excuse me. So where it's just like the same traditional. You have like the smooth beginning, and then it has that jumpy start, like because you go from the intro to Black Superman, then Dark Side just hits you,
Right,
and
yeah.
then it smooths back down to New York Summer, and then you build into those records, like when you start getting to Bamboozle, Flying Trapeze, Ninja Monkeys, and then it still has those other smoother vibes coming back, just so you just get like a little jump in and be like, okay, there's like those heartfelt moments, like with greatness and stuff like that.
Right.
But we wanted it to build up to that climactic moment and keep the energy going forth. So that's why you see the Flying Trapeze, Ninja Monkeys, the Bamboozle, the Spaceship, the Smooth Billy D, those hard hitting, and Yahweh, which had shout out to the homie Red Eyes, where we switched it up and it went into the reggae style within the record, and that was just really the thing. Just have a cinematic approach to it, where each act builds. And then when you get to the climax of Black Jealousy, it has that smooth bass that it gave you in the beginning. Because I look at it, I remember like just one of the things that I learned from like one of my professors, where she was telling me about writing an essay. She was like, it's 3 things that you need to know about an essay. Is first, it's tell them what you're about to tell them what you're telling them, then tell them what you told them. So like that's how I approached it, like when
As a whole, like the
exactly
whole album,
exactly.
Right.
So that's why the intro and the outro can kind of coexist in different realms.
There was this. I want to talk about some of the songs, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, Bamboozled, the Clowning of the Clowns. That's such a dope name, for a song. But on Spaceship, you said this, right? And I just want you to explain how you saw it, right?
Okay.
You said, when bliss goes, hate comes down to play. What do you mean by that?
So that actually is something reflective to like one of those, we as people, I won't even just say as creative, just as people, just the beings that we are. It seems whenever those happy moments or those moments of peace and solace are, I won't say disappear, but when they seem like they're in jeopardy, it seems like that's when more misery and more negative energy comes, because when you allow your bliss to leave, you welcome negative forces. So that, I also took it into the sense of like when you allow the acceptance of your happiness leaving, nothing but negativity will come at you.
That's definitely peace. It reminded me, right, when I heard that line, it reminded me of, there's a philosopher, Jiddu Krishnamurti, right? Okay. And he said that when you notice that you are happy, you're no longer happy. When you notice yourself laughing, you're no longer laughing.
That's
and I thought about that, and like what you said was like the next step that could happen when you start noticing things and it's no longer spontaneous or no longer happening, then you might be upset that it's not happening, and then that's where the hate would come in.
That's crazy. That's deep
so
right there.
it had me thinking about the flight. So you got me philosophizing and all this kind of shit.
That's what it's supposed to.
And it was this, the Spaceship hit me. But
that's ill.
also with the track titles too, right? You mentioned greatness, right? But if you hear greatness in the periphery, like you just hear it loosely, you hear worse situations of oppression and happenstances that are horrible, and then you named it greatness, and like, why did you do that?
So, so the greatness, that record, and I can say the reason it gets that name is, for me personally, the simple fact, because me and Ridiculous had different versions on why we chose the name Greatness. But the reason I solidified as greatness is because these are the things that builds greatness. all of these things. So that's what this record encompasses. It's like imagine lacking imagination and grab greatness, and like where it's like when you feel you don't have nothing left. When you that's really when you truly shine and persevere.
Gotcha.
So then the second verse talks about my cousins and my uncle incarcerated, and then the third verse just talks about like it starts going into me, like who, because those first two verses are mirroring different perspectives. So the second verse, I put myself in the shoes of my cousin who's incarcerated, and then towards the end of the verse, I apologize. I'm like, pardon me, my G, rapping like them shoes you keep clothed over my feet, because it's like even though I'm rapping that, I can't really fully as empathetic as I can be. I still don't know your situation to that depth. And so that's why, just in case you take it as disrespectful, it's just like, I understand you probably may know I'm coming from a genuine place, but I understand how it could be disrespectful to rap a position that
Say that line again where you said the shoes wrapped up.
I said, pardon me, my G, rapping like the shoes you keep clothed over my feet.
Yeah, that's just a dope line. I just wanted to repeat that because you said it like it was regular shit. Like, yeah, you know, that was like poetic perfection right there. Yeah. But yo, some of the songs, and we're running out of time here, but like Novels in Purgatory, I'm just noting it for the listener. Like, yo, listen to these songs, the way that you detailed. It's like I saw it like an exposition on racism, and it's blatant visibility to us, but everybody else's denial.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, it's real like that. Like we're always told like that. But I wanted one last question about particular songs in the album. The outro, Black Jealousy, right? All of it summates a lot of the album. But why did you call it Black Jealousy? Why that particular negative aspect that you focused on?
All right, so the reason, aside from just ending with the lyric Black Jealousy, is the funny thing is it's actually more, it was like a little chant that I had at the end, but ridiculous. It was like, it's to him it sounded better with the way it just faded it out. And I was just cool with it because like I was just freestyling the chant, so it could have been Thraga. But I named it Black Jealousy for the simple fact that was like that final anger and like a message to my people where it was like, we do have to take responsibilities for our actions, but I also want you to know that a lot of these things happen because of jealousy towards us. And that's pretty much the theme.
Right.
Even like Black Superman, I'll just quote this real quick, was like, we the ones with, God, I can't even remember my own lyrics. It's just so many damn lyrics. It was like we the ones with true rich history, accepting the lies of their broken history. And we the ones who so spiritual, trying to find medicine in their sick religion. It's just lines like this,
right.
where it was just like we've been robbed and disassociated with our identity for so long that's where I just wanted to let you know, like, yo, it's because you're so great that this shit happened.
I definitely appreciate that because the album, it never sounds preachy.
Yeah, thank you.
It always talks about how this is something imposed on us, but also something that we impose on ourselves. It's a balance there. It's not always looking down at us for the things that we do, but also is telling us about, what's going on to us though. But for the listener, now that we're at the end of the show, this album is also something like you just listen to it for the skill sets.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? Just the way the words are put together, though, the ideas, everything like that. The inflections, the style, and then and even the thing, because you didn't. I never heard. I haven't heard you like call your own name never. Like I love when you do the nissa. When you do that shit. So it's like it has more of a prevalent thing. Like that's you. You know what I mean? Like your own voice stamp on the records and shit like that. It's like hearing you develop even more and more, it's just really fun to see, because I think this is a great record, but I think it's not even close to what I think you could do.
Thank you.
And I like hearing it that way, there's so much more that you could do. But with that said, go on his Bandcamp, the Bandcamp, right? If I'm right, it's Frank Knight. Knight.bandcamp.com,
Correct.
spelled Knight, right? And get that album, get the other one, get the Waters of Musa mixtape, get all that, because and stream the hell out of it. It's a great work, and they can find you on the IG is Frank Nizza, right?
Yes, FRANK KNIZZA.
Yeah. So, and if you happen to catch a show, you gotta catch a show. You know what I mean? Even I fuck up and
Actually,
I miss a show.
It's great that you say that.
All right. Yeah.
So, at Esther and Carol, which is in the Lower East Side, there's a show with shout out to the legend Sadat X, a brand Nubian. I will be performing at that show. Doors open 11 p.m. You can go on my social media, and I will post it in like the next 30 minutes because I just got the flyer. But December 20th, gonna close out the year on a big way. That's if you're in the New York tri-state area. If you want to fly out just for that show, you could do that too. I won't stop you, but I won't buy your ticket. But definitely pull up like a baby diaper. That's all I'm saying.
That's what's up. And hey, that's all I have to say. On that note, in the next week's episode, there's be many records to rewind and reminisce, records to quote. I am your host, Sunez, and as always, the Power Right Show is a never respect fake broadcast. Peace.